Oh, good.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. So anyway, continuing on, the problem is people that come on, like we got a lot of people on the Facebook and they come into the group sites and wherever it is they are, they come in with all these quotes. This teacher says this teacher says that, this teacher says this, and they take one quote and they take it out of context and run with it, And this is what's so detrimental in the Bible, too. They take one thing out of context rather than reading and understanding the whole of the thing. And again, it's that subjective mental spin which takes something out of context and wants to run a whole story around it, And if one is truly in realization or truly has this wisdom and is like Buddha, awakened, if one is truly awakened, I'm not talking about they're in the awakening of the starting journey and people call that awakened. That's not it. Buddha didn't say I'm Buddha, I'm awakened at the beginning of the journey. He said it after completion. Then he was awakened. Then, only then was it Buddha. Was it awakened? Okay, that's all. But to come in and take something out of context, well, Buddha said is Buddha Neo-Advaita, because Buddha said it's all one. Well, understand what Buddha was saying. Fully understand it. Don't take something out of context and then parade it like it's some big flag of, look at me, I have the understanding, you need to look at this. Well, no, you don't have the understanding. You're taking it out of context. There's a difference in what the ultimate reality is, that it's all that singular is. And Buddha at that point, he didn't say there was God or not God. He said you have to find out. Because it's not what people think it is. He didn't say there was no God for these nihilists. Neither did he say there's God. He left it open because it's not what people think it is. In order for God to exist, there has to be something other than. And there is nothing other than this simple, at the ultimate point, there's only this one, which one can't even say one. One can't even say one, because one is subdividable, and this is not divisible. Okay? Words are not it. No matter what the words, it's not it. One is not accurate either. You can't say one, and one is still a term of dualistic, dualistic understanding, and it's still not it. So I don't care what quote you want to use to uphold it. One has to understand that you have to, one has to get there. And then when it all deconstructs, then one is Buddha. Awakened. That's all that Buddha means. Buddha was not a persona. People have wrapped all of this drama around Buddha. Buddha as a persona. It wasn't his name. His name was not Buddha. It was a state of consciousness of just saying, I'm awakened. It was a proclamation. There has been awakening. I'm no longer in that dream. I'm speaking from that reality. As that reality. That's what exists. He also just simply held up a flower. Why don't you use that quote? He said nothing. There was nothing to say because all words are occlusion. Okay? So you can't just, people like to do this quote and run around and throw out this quote and that quote and this and that, again. So like I said in the post, if you want, the only thing that all these quotes and all of this stuff is good for when you're a seeker is to find out if the teacher is matching up with this, if it's that same type of consciousness, if it is, really matching up with what this sage's pointings are. Is this the living reality? And go for the teachers like Ramana, that was that living reality, undisputed, non-dual living reality. Or Buddha, but understand as well, Buddha was speaking to the intellect and the mind of the day and the conditionings of the day, as do all teachers that are within realization, speaking from realization, wanting to cut through the drama of the day, the conditionings and minds and societal things of the day. That's what's there to do. And they may speak at one level when it comes to speaking those that are caught in mind and mental spin and duality, and they will remain in duality. They may say one thing to aid with that, how to live within the world of the transient in a beneficial way for society, etc. And they may say something vastly different to the one that's wanting to come out of the world and off the wheel of karma to that ultimate reality, to cut through the spin of mind. There are different levels of teachings, different levels according to what one is speaking, according to the person that one is speaking with.
Hence the one-to-one interaction.
And why there seems to be sometimes, you read where Ramana was talking to one person and it seemed to be one way. Well, how can he say that and then to this other person say this other thing? Because he's saying something different. Well, because he's speaking to that conditioned mentality and where that person is and where they're headed. Are they headed towards remaining in the world and making their life better in the transient realm? Well, that's one thing that's different. If their mind is staying in that mental spin of duality, in that occlusion of duality, then they try to give a little better, something for them to go forward with, okay, so they can live their life beneficially. And there's something different that's given to the one that just says, I want to be done with the wheel of karma and I want to go forward to full realization. Then they're going to do everything to cut that mind spin 100%, to cut through whatever's needed to cut through. So they're, two vastly different things. So this is why, here in this teaching, this path, I say you need to be 100% point blank honest with what you want, where you're going, where is your focus. Do you want to get off the wheel of karma or do you want to make the wheel better? You want to have a less creaky spin, because it's two vastly different things. I want to oil the wheel versus I want, to stop. I want the wheel to stop. I want to be off the wheel of karma. Two different things.
This offers quite a bit of clarity because for many, because people have heard how the master speaks differently to each one. So now they have a nice explanation of it.
Well, that's why. There are some that are going to remain in the world. They may say, I want, that I want to complete and I want to go forward and I want realization, but you can tell that that's not really what they want. They have no clue what that really is. Their idea of realization is my life is going to get better. Things are going to magically turn around and be perfect. I'm going to have more knowledge. I'm going to have more power. I will have more control. I will have this. I will have that. They don't understand that deconstructs. There is no longer somebody at that point. There is nobody any longer in control of anything. For that one, there is just simply that flow of life. There, it's different. It's different. The illusion of control is at an end. When in ego, one is making this choice and that choice. From a mind. And one accepts the consequences of those actions. They carry karma, the seeds of karma in them. And to say those seeds of karma do not exist, ultimately they won't when one is no longer in that spin. But that's not true for all of humanity. As long as they're in that state of separation, of occlusion, they're in a vastly different consciousness and state than those that have gone and imploded and remain in that 0 point balance of realization. So again, let's understand, let's get some understanding as to what is the difference. There's a vast difference there between being in the mental spin of suffering and being driven by mind and driven by actions and driven by conditionings versus that's all, the knots of that have been cut and it's no longer there. And so I don't care how nice it sounds to say it's just one. Ultimately, that's the case. But when one is in that occluding mind that's being driven by conditionings and stuff, then no, they're feeling in separation. There is the feeling of separation. There is the feeling of lack. There is the feeling of all of these things that are driving that mental spin and driving that wheel of karma and driving those actions. So one can't layer over the ultimate reality with the occlusion. Because that's fantasy then. One at that point can't move forward.
Dishonesty.
Well, it leaves no room for anything to change. And that's the worst injustice to do to humanity and seekers, to be out there, saying this is the ultimate truth and so you just need to layer it over the occlusion and all will be well. No, it's not. That is such a disservice. Really, it is such a disservice to humanity to do that. One has to begin with where they're at, not from where your state is. That's why it becomes real compassion when all falls away and deconstructs. Because one has been in the mental spin and is out of it and then understands fully what that mental spin is. Rather than trying to just cover over with nice words and layer over it and say it's all one and it's all perfection and it's all this and all that. That's not going to do anything to help them to get out of it. It's not compassionate in the least. It only causes more confusion. And they're not starting from a point of honesty at that point. The honest truth is if you're suffering, you're suffering. So let's look at it and then understand and then cut the ties of that. Undo the knots of that to find that which has never suffered, that holds no suffering, which has never been born and never died. But you're not going to find that when you're in the separation and just proclaim it. That's foolishness. So that's all. I mean, there is such a vast difference. Those that are in that oneness state and they're going to read Buddha and they're going to read these texts, they're going to wrap it all around oneness. And that's their projection. And don't you see? And Buddha said. And is Buddha Neo-Advaita? No, but you are. Buddha was not Neo-Advaita. Buddha was clarity. But in that confusion of oneness and Neo-Advaita spin, mind spin, and being on that drug high of oneness, one is going to project into the teachings. and see them from that relationship. Again, this is why one has to, know them one-to-one, because what's being said and what's being heard is going to be vastly different many times. You're going to hear it according to your experience. If you're in oneness, then anything you read about these is going to be couched in oneness. That's all. You're going to latch on to the thing where your consciousness is at the moment. And then uphold that to be that ultimate truth and understanding and wisdom. And the further you go along the way, what happens when you go back and read texts? Has it not changed, the understanding of it? Do you not hear something different next time you read it? Has the text changed?
No.
What's changed?
More, the veil's been removed more and more and more.
Evolution of consciousness has changed. The consciousness has changed. Therefore, what one will read and understand is going to be different. That's all. That's all. So to answer that, no, Buddha was not Neo-Advaita. But when one is in that Neo-Advaita spin and that that drug bliss of oneness, one is going to couch everything in that oneness state. And they're going to take something out of context and parade it around, well, Buddha said it's all one. And don't you understand? Yeah, I fully understand. I assure you, I fully understand. Because there's no one here to understand, okay? There's not one here that's understanding, no. That deconstructs. Deconstructs.